As soon as Beatrix heard that name, she dropped the spoon she was using to feed Melanie in shock. What is Mark DeLillo doing here in our home? Beatrix thought to herself. Suddenly, a trace of impatience flashed through her eyes. Beatrix, what's going on? Melanie asked. Melanie was doing better enough to sit up and accept bites of food. She looked at the spoon that had fallen into the bowl, then back up at Beatrix. Nothing. Beatrix shook her head as she picked up the spoon again. I'm going to keep feeding you until you've finished. But didn't the maid just say that Mark DeLillo was waiting for you downstairs? Melanie asked. She did, and he can keep waiting. Beatrix shrugged. At that moment, all she cared about was taking good care of her sister Melanie, and she was not about to be disturbed by anyone. Especially not Mark DeLillo. Beatrix thought crossly. Right now, Melanie is awake and clear-headed. She actually knows who she is and who I am, and she knows what is going on around her. I never know how long that will last, so I'm not wasting that precious time on anything else. Open up. Here comes another bite. Beatrix gently instructed as she lifted the spoon to Melanie's mouth. Oh, Melanie nodded her head and obediently opened her mouth. With Beatrix's help, Melanie finished eating the small bowl of oatmeal in about 10 minutes. That's all I can eat. I'm full, Melanie sighed. She licked her lips and sat back in bed. You should go and do whatever things you need to take care of for yourself. You don't need to be here watching me every second. Melanie paused briefly, then continued. I won't hurt myself or anything. I'll be fine here for a little while. Melanie looked apologetically at the wound on Beatrix's shoulder. She felt so guilty for losing control and hurting Beatrix, even if it was not on purpose. It's fine, Beatrix said and placed the empty bowl on the nightstand. She reached up and pinched Melanie's cheek. Melanie, promise me that you won't hurt yourself anymore. I can't stand to let you do that. I know everything feels bad, but it will get better. Okay, I promise. Melanie nodded. I understand. Be good, Beatrix laughed. Miss Beatrix, that... The maid still stood in the doorway, waiting awkwardly. It's been a while now. This is rude to keep a guest waiting this long. Very rude, the maid thought anxiously. I know, ask Mark to wait for a moment. I'm going to change and head down, Beatrix directed. She looked coldly in the direction of the door. Yes, miss. The maid nodded and hurried away. Beatrix stood to leave. Beatrix, I want to go out and get some fresh air today. Maybe a walk outside, Melanie said, before Beatrix could step away. But your head, Beatrix protested as she looked at the wound on Melanie's forehead. It made her very hesitant. It's fine. I won't even leave the property. I'll just walk around and get some sun in the yard. Melanie smiled. I remember that we had set up a swing in the backyard, but I don't know if it's still there. It's still there, Beatrix assured Melanie and laughed lightly. Later, I'll take you out there for a while. That sounds nice. Melanie nodded gratefully. Beatrix got up and took off her shirt to change. In doing so, her shirt accidentally caught on the scab that healed over the area Melanie had bitten, and the scab came off with the shirt. Beatrix sucked in air through her teeth and grimaced as she reacted to the pain. Oh, Beatrix, Melanie said sadly as she looked at Beatrix's reopened wound. Does it hurt? No, I'm fine, Beatrix insisted as she picked up an ointment off the table and twisted off the lid. Please let me help. You can't even reach it. You're going to dislocate your arm, Melanie said as she hoisted herself up. Fine, but don't get up. Beatrix sighed and went to sit close enough to Melanie. She handed her sister the ointment and sat turned away so that Melanie could reach the back of her shoulder. Melanie used her fingertips to gently rub ointment onto the bite mark. How could this not hurt? It looks like it hurts. Melanie shook her head. I'm telling you, it's fine, Beatrix repeated and frowned. You continuing to ask me makes it harder to ignore the pain. Beatrix thought with frustration. Really? Melanie said skeptically. I can see that you're flinching and shaking each time I touch it. Melanie pointed out. It's not that bad, Beatrix said quietly. She knew that her pain was nowhere near even 1% of what Melanie had been through. Deep down, Beatrix even felt that on some level, any pain she herself felt offset some of the guilt in her heart over what had happened to her sister. She still felt somewhat responsible. Melanie sighed as she set the ointment on the side table and rested her forehead against Beatrix's smooth back. Once I recover, I'll go back to Europe. Okay, Melanie. Beatrix agreed, but she lowered her head and her throat felt a little tight. All because I can't protect the person I treasure the most, Beatrix thought bitterly. The best way to protect my sister is to send her far away. Once I go, I'll get serious about school. I'll study really hard and get into a great school, then get a great job. And I'll get a loan to buy a small house over there, Melanie promised. I'll find one on that lake where we took that stroll last time. I know that you really liked the maple tree forest over there. Beatrix was stunned for a moment and did not know what to say. Does Melanie mean for me to go with her? Someday, it'll just be the two of us. Melanie sighed as she planned out her and Beatrix's future. You'll tell the mysterious man. You'll tell him not to let us be separated so much. You don't have to be far away. You could work in Europe, right? Mm-hmm. Beatrix nodded, but her eyes felt watery. When we go back to Europe, I'll start over, Melanie said, determined. It'll be okay. Yes, Beatrix agreed as her heart warmed to the idea. The future Melanie described was really beautiful to Beatrix, and she also wanted it badly. But would the mysterious man really be willing to let me go back to Europe? She wondered. I've also thought about my condition. I have to keep going. I can't give up and die, Melanie said seriously. Her eyes became cold. I will go after Olivia so that she has no moment of peace for the rest of her life. She did this to me, and I will make her pay the price. I'll kill her myself one way or another. Beatrix nodded and turned to face Melanie. She reached up and gently caressed Melanie's face. Don't worry. I'll take care of Olivia. You can be sure of that. She will wish she was already dead. Melanie's eyes lit up and she nodded fiercely. You should try to get some rest now, Beatrix said as she stood and walked to the wardrobe. She chose a clean white dress to change into and swept her long hair to the side. She leaned close to the mirror and put on some lipstick. The color instantly brought an attractive warmth to her face. Beatrix looked healthier and more alert. After setting down the lipstick, Beatrix turned and gave Melanie a quick smile before she walked out of the room. Melanie watched Beatrix leave and her mouth curved into a smile. Her sister was the person she respected the most, and the only person she could rely on in her whole life. Even if there comes a day that the entire world turns against me, shuts me out and leaves me abandoned, Beatrix never would. Melanie thought to herself as she secretly made a decision then. No matter what, not just for my sake, but for Beatrix's also. I must survive this so I can personally watch Olivia die. Meanwhile, Beatrix made her way downstairs and found Mark DeLillo sitting on the couch, with Brett already talking his ear off. Mark barely said a word as Brett talked to him. This must have been going on for quite some time, and Beatrix relished in Mark's torture at the hands of her unwitting, idiotic dad. Mark looked like he would rather be anywhere else as Brett held Mark conversationally hostage. Mark kept his body angled away from Brett and responded only in grunts or one-word sentences. Where is Beatrix? How long does it take to change an outfit? Mark checked the time on his watch impatiently. As soon as Mark saw Beatrix, his eyes lit up and he stood to greet her. Miss Cooper, how is Melanie doing? She's doing fine, Beatrix answered simply. I know you, Mark. Beatrix thought carefully. This is just your way in. The fact that you're all the way here right now tells me you must know something. What is it that you want from me? Something fishy is going on here, Brett Cooper thought, and I'm going to get to the bottom of it. Brett watched rapt as Beatrix approached and greeted Mark DeLillo. Since Mark is asking about how Melanie is doing, maybe that means he's interested in her. Brett hoped to himself. That Melanie is basically useless in her condition, but if Mark is interested, then perhaps she might still be worth something. I've worked hard for the past 18 years and I deserve to maintain some status somehow. It's the least Melanie can offer. Dad, let me talk to Mr. DeLillo in private, Beatrix said pointedly. She saw the schemes already forming in Brett's eyes, undoubtedly about trying to marry her or her sister off to Mark. It filled Beatrix with disgust to know where her father's concerns lay. Brett eyed Beatrix suspiciously, then looked to Mark. He wanted to stay and listen to whatever they were about to discuss, but Beatrix left him no choice with her direct order. I just hope she at least flirts with him a bit. If she cared about this family at all, she would be willing to do at least that much. Brett grumbled to himself. Brett stood reluctantly. All right, I should be getting back to the office anyway. It's a big office, by the way. And I even have my own wine fridge. Goodbye, Dad, Beatrix urged through her clenched teeth. She could not wait for him to be out of her sight. And she guessed Mark probably felt the same way. Beatrix, please be a good host to Mark DeLillo. Our casa is his casa, Brett said, winking at Mark. Mark pretended not to notice. This guy, Mark thought, trying not to visibly cringe. I will. Beatrix glared at Brett until he finally left. She took a seat near Mark. Once the door was shut behind Brett, Mark's expression turned tense. Last night's plan was actually pretty impressive, I'll admit that. But the execution was a disaster. What the hell happened? How did Olivia thwart us again? It wasn't just Olivia, Beatrix said darkly. I believe someone in the Nevin family is working with her. She did not pull that off alone, there's no way. What? Mark frowned. That can't be. How else do you explain my sister disappearing after Georgina made sure all entrances to the house were closed off? Not to mention the sophisticated Nevin Mansion security system going dark? Beatrix Cooper asked impatiently. Olivia must have some people on the inside. It was too complicated to pull off alone. She would have had to been in too many places at once, and there were too many convenient failures on Nevin's home turf. But Jake and Jared Nevin would never. Jake is maybe the most annoying douchebag on the planet, but he would never help Olivia. And Jared is loyal to his family. He follows Jake's lead no matter how stupid it is. Mark scoffed. I've even tried to bribe him with the thing I know he wants most, and he's still a tough nut to crack. Mark racked his brain. And Georgina Crawford is on good terms with you, right? She hates Olivia just as much as any of us. And she has a weird thing going on with Jake, so I doubt she'd cross him either. Mark scratched his head at a loss. If it wasn't any of them, who else in the Nevin family could it possibly be? Who even has the ability? I don't know yet. Beatrix shook her head. The first thing I'm going to do is find out. No one who harms my sister gets away with it, Beatrix thought, her eyes filled with murderous intent. I will personally take out these beasts one by one, starting with Olivia, and then every last person who helped her. And what the hell? I'll even throw in their families, regardless of whether they were involved. I will make sure that what they suffer will be worse than death. Look, I actually have another pressing issue I need to talk to you about, Mark said. After her plan last night, Mark's impression of Beatrix had changed. Since the mysterious man wanted them to work together, Mark figured he should get on the same page with her about a few things. He felt he was better off truly treating her as an ally and an asset, instead of competing and fighting with her all the time. "What is it?" Beatrix asked warily. She generally did not trust when Mark had his own thoughts to share. It was not usually good news. It was usually infuriating in some way. Mark looked around to confirm that no one else was listening, and then he leaned into Beatrix. "Do you believe in witchcraft?" "What did you say?" Beatrix asked, stunned. "Does Mark somehow know about the Venom King?" she thought incredulously. "Last night, I heard that girl, the one that's always hanging around Olivia, say something about poisonous worms. She said she used one to protect Olivia?" Mark hesitated, his eyes darkening. "I know it sounds crazy, but it's definitely what I heard. I think that Melanie's condition might be related to this witchcraft worms business." "What girl?" Beatrix frowned, trying to bring a face to mind. "Who? What is her name?" "I think it's Morgana. Actually, it's kind of a witchy name, if you think about it," Mark mused. "Morgana," Beatrix repeated to herself with recognition. She narrowed her eyes dangerously. Beatrix remembered Morgana. Back in London, Pandora had been in contact with Morgana, but Beatrix had never met her. During that time, she was busy trying to win over the Venom King. After Pandora died, Beatrix returned to the mysterious man as quickly as possible, never bothering to question the world she left behind. "I never thought that Olivia's Morgana might be the same Morgana from London," Beatrix mused. "Wait, so you already knew about this Morgana? Why didn't you say something? Seems like you could have prevented a lot of this." Mark shrugged. Beatrix gritted her teeth, irritated. "Olivia actually dared to poach Morgana and then use her to hurt Melanie," Beatrix fumed. "If that's how all of this happened, then I have no choice but to return the favor and invite the real Venom King to New York to even the playing field." Thinking about the gloomy old man sent a chill down Beatrix's spine. But she was determined. She knew the Venom King held no loyalties and could kill a person without batting an eye. But what other choice did Beatrix have? "So you are familiar with—" Mark looked around again uncomfortably, then whispered, "Witchcraft? This whole thing is very weird. Should I consult the mystery man first?" "You haven't told him, have you?" Beatrix quickly looked up at Mark DeLillo. "Not yet." Mark shook his head. "You and I are on the same team now. That means we have to be on the same page before bringing an issue to him. That goes both ways, okay?" "Of course." Beatrix smiled. "That's easy. The mystery man explicitly told us not to mess with Olivia. So if you decide to tell him what happened, you'd just be tattling on yourself anyway." Mark thought about what Beatrix said and nodded. "That's true. That wouldn't be any good. We don't want to bother him with something like that anyway. It's a waste of his time." "Right," Beatrix agreed. For the first time, Beatrix felt that Mark was actually using his brain for once. "Mark, you don't need to worry about Olivia for now. You've got enough on your plate. Just leave Olivia to me." "Okay, then." Mark knew what Beatrix meant by this, and he felt certain that he could trust her now. He smiled and stood up from his seat. "If that's all settled, then I won't take up any more of your time." Beatrix nodded. "You know the way out." Beatrix watched Mark leave, and she snorted coldly. She did not go straight to her room. Instead, she went to the study and dialed a number on an old rotary phone. "Hello?" A man's very hoarse voice answered. She could hear a high-pitched, aggravating tone coming through the other end of the line. "Venom King? It's been too long," Beatrix said as she moved the phone away from her ear to lessen the high-pitched tone. "It's Thorns. I was just calling to ask, what is your asking price to leave the mountain?" "Leave the mountain?" The old man laughed heartily for some time. His laughter came off very arrogant. His already unpleasant voice was now even more grating on Beatrix. "Consider yourself lucky. I just found a new venom and I need something to practice on." someone to practice on." "Really?" Beatrix Cooper's eyes lit up. "What kind of test subject exactly?" "A living pregnant woman," the old man answered. "A pregnant woman?" Beatrix frowned. What could he possibly want to test his venom on a pregnant woman for? Beatrix did not understand. "Did I say I would answer questions? Just get me what I need and we have a deal." The old man sneered. "Are we agreed?" Beatrix chewed on her lip as she thought it over, wondering if perhaps she had made a grave error by calling the Venom King. But then she thought of Melanie, suffering upstairs thanks to Olivia, and her decision became clear. "We're agreed," Beatrix answered quietly. "I'll find you your subject." The Venom King could sense the hesitation in Beatrix's voice, and a wave of pleasure coursed through his body as he fed off of her fear. Regardless of how Beatrix may feel, however, the Venom King was just pleased to hear her agree to his request. "Since you will be the one to find the test subject, you will also be the one to administer the venom for the test." Beatrix felt her throat tighten at the idea. She had no problem with violence, but the idea of harming a pregnant woman, and potentially her unborn child, didn't sit right with her. But then a thought dawned on Beatrix. "Regarding the venom, does it have an antidote?" Beatrix asked. She wanted to know just how deadly the venom might be. It could be very useful to her in the future. This specialized venom was stolen by a grave robber. Therefore, very little is known about it. There is no known antidote, the Venom King explained. Beatrix smiled at the Venom King's answer. A venom with no antidote seemed like the perfect thing to have in her arsenal. Suddenly, it no longer mattered to Beatrix who might be spared. "I'll get everything as soon as possible. Whatever it takes to help you continue studying venom. I don't care how many people die. It will be worth it." The Venom King laughed wickedly. "I have always valued people who rise to the occasion. I'll send you the location later. Once everything is ready on my end, I'll send you what you need. When it's time, I'll alert you to come and collect the venom and teach you the experiment methods." "Thank you, Venom King," Beatrix replied obediently. "And of course, I will compensate you for all that you have done." "Compensation? Money?" The Venom King snorted coldly. "I have no use for these worldly possessions." Without another word, the line went dead. Beatrix put down her phone and looked up at the sunlight that streamed in through the window. The bright rays broke through a puffy white cloud, and the effect was dazzling. Beatrix felt a presence and turned her head to see Melanie standing at the door of the study, staring blankly at her. Beatrix's blood ran cold and her heart skipped a beat. How much did Melanie hear of my phone call just now? She panicked. "Beatrix, what have you been doing? I've been waiting for you for a while." Melanie smiled patiently. "Let's go outside. I want to be in the backyard and enjoy the nice day together." Beatrix looked at Melanie and smiled. It was such a relief to see her sister even standing, much less able to request to spend more time together. "Okay, we'll go." She suspected Melanie pretended not to hear her conversation with the Venom King. Melanie was unwilling to believe that her older sister had hardened into a murderous person. The more evidence there is, the harder Melanie digs in against the truth. Beatrix thought to herself, "So my sister pretends not to hear any of it. I don't think she wanted to listen. As long as she chooses not to hear it, it might as well never have happened. Everything is the same as before. No need to ruin that for her," Beatrix decided. Beatrix carefully walked with Melanie and supported her with her arm one step at a time out of the house to the backyard. It was the place they always played when they were young. "You designed the swing, remember? I've always liked it so much for that reason," Melanie said. "I didn't know you felt that way," Beatrix said, touched by her sister's admission. The near-death experience seemed to have made Melanie more sentimental. In the warm afternoon, Beatrix temporarily forgot all of her worries and vendettas. She felt as if she was just a little kid again, when everything was carefree and nothing bad happened. If Melanie can be happy like this forever, I don't care how many people have to die in order to make it so. Beatrix swore to herself. Meanwhile, Olivia, Violet, and Morgana arrived at the Confluence headquarters. They had just emerged from the elevator when Morgana needed to use the bathroom. Guys, I'm not feeling so great. That's what happens when you go overboard at lunch. Bottomless pits still only have so much room. I'm sorry your stomach hurts. Olivia helplessly shook her head. I better get out of here before I barf. Make way, make way. You guys can go on without me. I'll catch up with you later, Morgana said quickly as she hurried away to the bathroom. Olivia shrugged at Violet. What are we gonna do with Morgana? She sighed. Miss Johnson, Ansel Parr called out as he quickly approached them. Michael is already waiting for you in his office. Great, let's go. Olivia nodded. As they walked towards Michael's office, two women who passed by saw Olivia and excitedly whispered, That's her. She looks even more beautiful in person than in photos. It's good to be young. Look at her skin. They all giggled and ogled. I know, right? She must have incredible genes. The woman in the wine-red suit said, Victoria Park from the accounting department is a pretty lady. She's really nice too, and the CEO, Michael Johnson, is also very handsome. The math checks out. He seems a little out there right now, though, the other woman whispered. He said we're expected to make $300 million a quarter. Is he out of his mind? Shh, the first woman said quickly, gesturing to her lips. Let's not talk about that out here. We'll go into the bathroom, she added. The two women walked into the bathroom. Olivia and Violet made their way to Michael's office. Upon opening the door, Olivia saw Michael reading documents at his desk. Dad, she said to get his attention. Olivia, Michael smiled. He closed the documents on his desk and set them aside. Come on in, sit down. Thanks, Olivia said as she sat down across from Michael. Are you busy right now? Oh no, never when my daughter wants to see me. Michael grinned. I've just been looking over the numbers for the quarter. It seems that I don't have the right short-term projects in place to meet my target. It's just not enough. Well, I've come to talk about the upcoming summer targets we want to reach, Olivia explained. The new mobile game has had a positive effect on revenue, but we need to make sure it stays on an upward trajectory for the rest of the summer at a minimum. I also want to discuss sharing the profits this time. Oh no, you've done that all yourself. Michael smiled. I'll figure it out. Michael felt embarrassed at the idea of having money transferred from his daughter's business to his own. I could never take money from Olivia, right? That is not what fathers do, not good ones anyway. Michael thought anxiously. It's fine, Olivia smiled. The Park Company and Confluence are one and the same, and they have to help each other accordingly. They sync together and they survive together in the long term. It's not doing anyone any favors. It's just good business. All right, Michael sighed and smiled. He could not argue with that. Dad, why are you smiling like that? It's kind of funny. Olivia blinked self-consciously. Nothing. Don't worry. I just feel so proud of you. My daughter all grown up already. Even smarter and better at this than me. Michael beamed, then became more wistful. I'm so grateful to be a part of your life, especially since I missed out on the first 16 years. I don't take my second chance for granted. Thank you for letting me continue to be your dad. Olivia smiled. She did not expect her father to get so tender all of a sudden, but she felt it was sweet. I'm so glad too, she said. Then a mischievous grin appeared on her face. But I'm still sticking to my original idea of how much profit to split. This isn't going to influence me, she teased. Michael laughed heartily. I have a strict boss. Olivia smiled and laughed along with her dad. Moments like these were the reason she was so proud and pleased to work with him. Violet and Ansel saw from a distance how Olivia and Michael chatted with all of their evident affection. and it made them both smile happily. The rest of their discussion about the details of their plans went very smoothly. Once they were settled, Olivia stood up. "Dad, I'll leave you alone to get back to work." "Okay," Michael nodded. "For any other details, just ask the assistant to complete the contract and I will sign it." "Great," Olivia nodded. "I'm going to head out, but I want to stop by Mom's office on my way out." "Go on, get out of here," Michael said playfully. "Remember to go home early tonight." "Don't worry, I will," Olivia smiled. "I actually do have the chance to relax for a while after work today. Jeff and Violet are going to take care of some things for me." "That's good. I'm very glad to hear it." Michael nodded. "Before you know it, you'll be done with high school and you'll be in college. Work is important, but you don't want to miss out on school. It feels long and like it'll never end, but it's such a short, important time in the grand scheme of things." "I know, Dad." Olivia nodded and smiled gratefully. She loved that her dad cared so much. "See you later." "Okay, speech over." Michael smiled and watched Olivia leave. "She really has grown up so wonderfully," he thought to himself. "I'm so proud of her." Just as Olivia was about to step into the elevator, Morgana rushed over to her, eyes wide and frantic. "Olivia, there's something going on with your dad." Olivia frowned, confused but alarmed by Morgana's energy. But everything seemed good just now. What could possibly be going wrong that involves my dad?" Olivia couldn't stop her mind from instantly reeling as she worried about all the possible worst-case scenarios that could befall her father. "What is it? What is going on with my dad?" Olivia asked, stunned. "What are you talking about? I saw and talked with him just now. He seemed to be doing well, actually." "I don't mean his health or anything like that. He's physically fine." Morgana waved her hand dismissively. "Oh, well, that's a relief at least. You scared me." Olivia sighed, hand over her chest. "What is it then?" "I heard some people gossip about your dad when I was in the bathroom," Morgana said breathlessly. "I mean, I heard what I could between waves of barf that you just wouldn't believe. I regret having such an acidic lunch. Boy, that stuff burns when it's coming back to haunt you. I'll spare you the details." "I think it might be too late for that," Olivia sighed, rolling her eyes at Morgana's inability to leave out unnecessary details. "Anyway, I came out as soon as I was done and ran to look for you," Morgana explained. Olivia narrowed her eyes at Morgana skeptically and looked down at her hands. "How soon after you were done? Did you wash your hands?" "Of course I washed my hands. I'm a witch, not a monster," Morgana said irritably. "Did you hear anything I said that was actually important?" "Hand washing is important, but all right, what happened?" Olivia asked. "It sounds like Michael claimed that Confluence is going to make $300 million this quarter." Morgana whisper-yelled, eyes big. "How much did you say?" Olivia asked, stunned. "I said $300 million US dollars." Morgana repeated slowly for emphasis. "I know all you rich people say outrageous numbers all the time, but I think even for you guys, that's a crazy big number." Olivia frowned. "Confluence could definitely make $300 million a year, no problem," Olivia mused. "But in one quarter? This is basically an impossible goal." "That's what I thought," Morgana answered. "The most any of our competitors can hope to make in the next quarter is $200 million. And that's at the very max. $300 million in one quarter?" Violet trailed off and frowned as she really thought it through. "Yep, it's impossible." "I knew that without the math. I knew with my gut and my mind." Morgana folded her arms. "Do you think he really said that? I also heard in the bathroom that he claimed that if he doesn't reach $300 million in the quarter, he will resign from his position as CEO of Confluence." "What?" Olivia asked, stunned again. "Did they say why?" "The lady said he said it was to support you." Morgana pursed her lips and made air quotes with her fingers. It seems to me like someone is trying to make trouble. The board of directors is giving me a bad feeling. Olivia frowned deep in thought. I guess I have to deal with this issue as soon as possible, she decided. Violet, can you review the confluence numbers for me again? The Jarbaldis will contribute based on sales, Violet said. Doing the math, deducting costs, we, the park company, will get 60% and Confluence gets 40%. What if we redistribute the profits between Confluence and the park company and set it to 30-70? Olivia asked. That still probably won't get Confluence to $300 million. Morgana sighed. I guess we can't predict how well the park company might do this quarter either, but $300 million? That's not going to be easy no matter how you do it. We will figure out how to pull it off, Olivia said as she took a deep breath. It's only the beginning of the quarter. We have time. Yes, Violet agreed. Just then, the elevator doors opened and the three of them stepped inside. Should we go straight back to the office? Morgana asked. I want to check on my mom before we go, Olivia said and pressed the elevator button for the floor of the accounting department. Okay, Morgana nodded. As they waited for the elevator to slowly descend, Violet spoke up. Olivia, there is one more thing. What is it? Olivia looked up at Violet and asked. Please, no more surprises today. Olivia grumbled inwardly. As you know, there was a bad rainstorm last night, so the organization meeting has been rescheduled to tonight. Violet explained carefully. That's great, Olivia answered. Then she thought of another order of business. How many game codes have we sold online so far? Whatever we have sold so far, those profits can also go to Confluence. It's well over 200 by now, Violet said. Oh, and also, the mayor's assistant reached out. The mayor's assistant? Olivia laughed. What does the mayor's assistant need from us? It's about building a new dog shelter in the city, Violet explained. They want to get you on board. I think it's okay to invest in the early stages, but at the later stages, I'm afraid it might be out of our budget at the moment. It's a lot to think about, Olivia mused. She thought for a few moments, then nodded. How about this? Go run the stats and review everything with Jeff. Huh? Violet asked, startled. You want me to consult Jeff Dreyer on this? What's that tone about? Morgana asked mischievously. Still shy? Is that entirely necessary? Violet asked stubbornly. I would rather discuss it all with you than Jeff. That would be nice, but it's not possible. I'm going to be busy with school in a few days. My dad was even just saying to me that I can't forget about school and must keep it a priority along with everything else. Olivia sighed. Can't you get help from Millie? Violet asked, excited that she may have found a solution. Olivia thought. That's not a bad idea. Millie is a genius. She always gets great grades on every test. She's amazing. Olivia thought fondly of her friend. Even so, we have to be careful not to burn Olivia out. Morgana interjected. Last time Olivia got so tired in the office that she... Olivia coughed loudly to interrupt Morgana before she could finish her sentence. Morgana quickly shut her mouth. She remembered Olivia had asked her not to mention to anyone that she had fainted, and especially not to tell Violet about it. That was a close one. Morgana sighed to herself. What did Olivia do? Violet asked Morgana, puzzled. Nothing. She did nothing. Morgana insisted and looked away. It really was nothing. Olivia smiled. Morgana cares about me and just doesn't want me to overextend myself. The same thing you're always saying. Olivia explained to Violet. That's why I need you to be able to work with Jeff on this, so you guys can take it off my plate. I trust you both to handle it while I have to give my attention to other things. Violet pursed her lips skeptically, but did not say anything. After this quarter, everything in the park company will officially be right on track. All of the challenges from the Johnson Company to the park company transition will finally be settled and behind us. After that, I will temporarily delegate some of the decision-making to you and Jeff. It makes sense because you are the people I trust most. You two are already my right-hand men, so to speak." "I understand." Violet nodded. She was touched to have earned Olivia's trust in this way, but when she thought about how much she would have to work with Jeff Dreyer going forward, she had her reservations. "By the way, has Mark DeLillo contacted you at all lately?" Olivia asked. It had been a while since she had checked in on this part of the plan. "He often sends his regards on social media, but nothing too interesting or out of line," Violet replied. She thought about how easy it was to manipulate Mark DeLillo, so much so that it made her laugh a little. "Okay," Olivia nodded. "Go ahead and continue to keep an eye on him. It shouldn't be too long before he makes a move," Olivia said with a slight look of deviousness in her eyes. Outsmarting Beatrix at her own game at the Nevin party in order to protect Millie and exact her own revenge against Beatrix and Melanie Cooper had been a long time coming. But Mark was an even bigger fish to catch. Olivia had been flawless in her plotting, and the plan slowly but surely moved forward. Mark's communication with Violet was just one piece of the puzzle, and it would bring Olivia one step closer to the ultimate goal. Olivia could not wait to see the look on Mark's face when he realized she truly had taken everything from him. "I just need to continue to be patient. Slow and steady wins the race," Olivia reminded herself. Just then, the elevator finally reached the accounting floor and the door slowly opened. Olivia, Morgana, and Violet walked out of the elevator, when suddenly, Olivia saw something that made her jaw drop. "Mom? What is happening right now?" Olivia stood there, jaw open in shock as she struggled to make sense of what she saw outside the elevator. "Mom?" she shrieked, almost in a daze. "Olivia?" Victoria asked as she looked up at Olivia, equally in a daze. "What are you doing here?" Olivia stared at the man who had his arms around Victoria's waist, Nate Evans. "I was here to talk some business things with Dad," Olivia explained. "Nate Evans? What I'm saying does not make sense. There has to be some reasonable explanation," Olivia told herself. "Miss Johnson." Nate nodded at Olivia respectfully. His eyes followed Olivia's gaze down to his own arms around Victoria and quickly moved his hands. "Right, Miss Park, your mom, she just sprained her ankle, and I was helping her walk. I was just about to take her to the hospital." "Oh," Olivia exhaled and gave Violet a pointed look. "No need to trouble yourself any further," Violet said as she authoritatively walked up to Victoria and supported her weight with her arm. "I will take it from here." "Yes, thank you," Olivia smiled. "Nate, feel free to return to work. Thanks for your help, but that's all for now." "Okay, but—" "It's fine," Violet answered quickly. With little effort, she hoisted Victoria into her arms like a firefighter. "Ah!" Victoria squeaked in shock as she wrapped her arms around Violet's neck. "Thank you. Wow, you're very strong, Violet." Victoria laughed nervously. Morgana grinned at the sight of Violet's effortless strength. "Wow, Violet is such a badass. It is way too easy to imagine her picking up Jeff Dreyer like that and saving him from a burning building. Or a dragon. I would love to see that. Jeff would never go for it, though. He's such a wet blanket. But if only." Morgana could not help cackling out loud with glee as she pictured it. "What are you laughing about?" Olivia asked as she turned to Morgana. "Oh, nothing, just impossible dreams." Morgana waved her hand and sighed. "Let's go." "Right." Olivia nodded and returned her attention to Nate. "Thanks again, Nate, for helping my mom. You've done more than enough. We'll go now." "All right," Nate said with disappointment in his voice. He did not want to leave Victoria's side in her moment of need, but he knew there was no excuse to follow them. He smiled and waved goodbye. The women made their way into the elevator. "I don't know if this is entirely necessary," You could possibly put me down. I really don't think it's that serious, Victoria said, embarrassed. You don't think that this is that serious? Morgana gasped as she looked at Victoria's ankle. Victoria, this ankle of yours is so swollen that I almost thought it was your thigh. After a pause, Morgana's eyes brightened and she added, Speaking of which, Victoria, can you make roasted crispy chicken thighs again soon? She licked her lips at the memory of Victoria's cooking. Olivia and Violet stared at Morgana, speechless. I guess you've already recovered from feeling sick earlier, Olivia said, her eyebrows raised. I don't feel bad at all anymore. Morgana beamed with joy. In fact, I feel great. I'm even a little hungry right now. I don't know how she does it, Violet shrugged. Once they reached the hospital, Morgana went to check Victoria in at the front desk. Mom, does it hurt? Olivia winced as she looked at Victoria's ankle. It hurts just looking at it, she thought to herself. Morgana said it looked like a thigh, and maybe she was exaggerating at the time. But this is quickly becoming an accurate description. It's fine, it doesn't hurt, Victoria said comfortingly. Really, I'm sure it's just a sprain. There doesn't need to be all the fuss. Should a sprain usually be that swollen? Morgana asked, eyeing Victoria's ankle. That does not look like a simple sprain to me. It's just because I'm wearing high heels. That probably makes it look worse. Victoria shrugged, but she did not meet anyone's eyes when she spoke. Olivia noticed the strange look on Victoria's face, but did not comment on it. If there is something Mom is holding back from telling us, there must be a reason. It won't do any good to keep asking right now, Olivia thought. She was tempted to use her powers to read her mother's thoughts and get to the bottom of this. But Olivia never liked to use her powers on her loved ones. She felt it was an invasion of privacy, and she wanted to give her mother the space to tell the truth in her own time. Suddenly, they heard Victoria's name being called by the nurse. Let's go, Olivia said, and helped Victoria up onto her feet while Violet supported her on the other side. In the hospital room, the doctor looked at Victoria's ankle and asked a few questions before asking her to take some x-rays. Sometime later, the doctor held up the x-rays for them to see and said, Your ankle is fractured in multiple places. What? Fractured? Olivia and the others asked, stunned. That sounds serious. It is. The doctor nodded and pointed to the lit image where the fracture showed. She'll need to be in a cast for a month. What about after that? Olivia asked. After the cast is removed, she'll need a regimen of physical therapy to fully recover, the doctor explained. Olivia knew that Victoria was hiding something from them. To have such a severe injury could not be simply from twisting her ankle. Olivia also knew that Victoria would not give her straight answers about what happened, but perhaps I can get the doctor to help us spell it out. Is it easy to get this kind of injury just from twisting your own ankle? Olivia asked the doctor. She noticed her mother stiffened at the pointed question. A small twist would not likely cause a fracture, let alone a bone fracture, and multiple ones at that. Generally speaking, it would more likely be caused by a pretty big fall or something. It would have to be a pretty spectacular accident. You don't have any bone conditions, do you? No, Victoria answered quietly. No, she does not. Olivia confirmed, her face darkened. What is she not telling me? Olivia thought anxiously. Did someone hurt her? Why would she keep that secret from me? Violet and Morgana leaned in to peer at the x-ray and frowned. It did not seem like Victoria's sprain was an ordinary accident. The doctor moved forward with the immediate treatment to set Victoria's ankle and put it in the cast. Throughout, Victoria carefully kept an eye on Olivia's reaction. She could sense that Olivia was angry that this had happened, and angry with her for not telling the truth about how it happened. It was an accident, though, and I don't want her to read into it, Victoria thought. Olivia's so busy right now. I don't want her to have to spend any more time or energy on worrying about me. I already feel bad enough that I can't help her with everything she's carrying on her shoulders. The last thing I want to do is add on to it and make it worse. By the evident atmosphere in the room, Victoria doubted she was succeeding. After they brought Victoria home from the hospital, they set her up comfortably on the couch in her new cast. Victoria opened her mouth hesitantly. Olivia. She felt so guilty. Victoria faltered. She looked at Olivia and did not know what to say. If you are busy right now, please go back to work and finish there first. I will be fine just resting here. You don't need to stay. Olivia really wanted to stay home, but she knew there was a giant pile of tasks waiting for her at her office. Olivia, you go ahead. I will stay and take care of your mom, Morgana said confidently. She picked up an apple from the bowl of fruit on the coffee table and took a big, crunchy bite. Okay, Olivia nodded. I will be back later. Sounds good, Morgana nodded. Will you be back for dinner tonight? I'm not sure, Olivia said as she looked at the time. You guys can go ahead and order delivery. Excellent, Morgana said as she wiggled her fingers. Mom, I'll be back. Olivia reassured Victoria. You be careful. Victoria nodded. Olivia turned and left with Violet. The whole drive over to the office, Olivia felt restless. Something is not right, she thought. Mom still would not tell me what exactly happened. Once it was past 6 o'clock, Olivia got a call from Morgana. Olivia, Victoria is doing well. We have tons of food and she even got a bunch of flowers and gifts. Morgana reported excitedly. Oh, Olivia answered. She stopped what she was working on and considered the possibilities. Did they come from Nate Evans? Olivia asked darkly. He would seize this opportunity, Olivia thought suspiciously. No, they're from a different coworker of hers, Morgana said. She paused, then continued in a lower voice. But I did find out what actually happened to Victoria's foot. Morgana paused for emphasis. Someone pushed her. I heard the coworker who brought us the flowers say that it was someone higher up. Maybe that's why Victoria wouldn't tell us. Olivia's eyes narrowed and flared with rage. Oh no, I know exactly who it was, she said in a low, menacing voice. Lisa. Olivia couldn't help but begin to plot out possible revenge scenarios for Lisa. Knowing that she had hurt her mother made Olivia see red. But she also knew that she could make things harder on Victoria by interfering with all. Olivia became so distracted by the matter that she hardly realized the time when Violet came into her office to tell her it was time to pack up. Olivia felt tired and relieved when she arrived back at the apartment. As she opened the door, the sound of cheerful voices wafted over to her. Michael, believe me, I would tell you if you were a bad cook, but that was so good, Olivia heard Morgana exclaim. Olivia laughed as she entered the kitchen where Michael was elbow deep in soapy dishes, wearing an apron covered in daisies over his nice cotton work shirt. The lingering smell of dinner was delectable. Morgana turned to her incredulous. Olivia, your dad is trying to be modest and it's weird. Make him stop. Olivia raised her eyebrows, pretending to be stern. Dad, this sounds pretty serious. Michael shook his head good-naturedly. I promised her that I'm very average. That's why your Grandpa Jack gave up on me and put all the chef's training into your Uncle Bruno. But I'm so full. Morgana rested her head heavily on her hand on the counter. I'm no chef, but I do know how to eat, and I'm serious. That was some incredible eating. Michael turned to Olivia, one hand dripping onto the floor. Do you want any of the leftovers? I can heat them up for you. No, but thanks so much. Olivia shook her head. And I do agree with Morgana that you're a great cook, Dad. She grinned as Morgana threw up her hand. See? You are. I actually have to go out again a little later, Olivia explained. Did you come home early and make dinner because you heard about Mom getting hurt? She asked. I did, Michael replied. Are you here to check on her? Olivia grinned. I am. Where is she? Morgana pointed. She's in her room. When her colleague left, she went to go lie down, and Michael brought her food in there. Morgana's eyes lit up and she leaned toward Olivia. Hey, do you want me to send this so-called Lisa to an early grave? No, Olivia answered quickly, gravely serious. She knew there was no room for ambiguity with Morgana. Michael didn't look up, probably assuming it was a joke. Morgana pouted. Fine. I was just about to go lie down anyway. I'm stuffed. Olivia smirked. I'm going to talk to my mom, but then I want you to come with me later when I leave. Okay, Morgana replied, looking slightly cheered about this, since she would not be able to murder Lisa. Olivia approached Victoria's room and softly knocked at her door. Mom, are you awake? Oh, Olivia! Victoria answered through the door, sounding pleased. Come on in, it's unlocked. Olivia hurried into the room. Hi, Mom. How are you feeling? Are you in any pain? I'm fine. Victoria sat up, leaning against the headboard, and looked at Olivia. She then reached out and patted the bed. Hey, come and sit here. Olivia did as Victoria had asked, taking her hand as she carefully avoided Victoria's injury. Victoria peered closer at Olivia's face. You had a really exhausting day, huh? It's okay. Olivia smiled. Holding her mom's familiar hand comforted her. Mom, I'm happy Dad was cooking some dinner for you. And I bet you tried to do dishes, but he successfully fought you off. Victoria laughed and nodded. That is exactly what happened, yes. It's too bad that this was the reason, but I have to admit, I am happy to have his cooking again. He used to make meals for us all the time. He also used to be the king of spicy food, but his stomach can't handle that anymore. She laughed. Olivia nodded and laughed. She loved seeing her parents appreciate one another, even if they weren't romantically involved anymore. Michael knocked on the door and walked in carrying 2 bowls. I think I heard you two calling me handsome in here behind my back. Olivia and Victoria agreed, laughing, and playing along with Michael. Yeah, Dad, we definitely weren't saying anything bad about you. That apron looks great. Thank goodness, he replied in mock concern. To reward you, I brought some berries and whipped cream. I put these together wearing my very cool apron that makes me look young and strong and not dorky at all. Olivia and Victoria laughed. Olivia took her bowl, but Michael held the other bowl out to Victoria's reach. That laugh sounds like you're making fun of me. And I don't think I'm young and cool and not dorky. I don't know if I can share the fruits of my labor with you. Victoria gasped. I'm gravely ill and you're denying me dessert? I'm on my deathbed. Michael rolled his eyes and handed her the bowl. Fine, I'll be the bigger person. You're injured, after all. Your ankle injury is affecting your mind. Victoria happily took a bite. Maybe it's affecting my mind because I actually think you're pulling off the dorky look. Olivia laughed and ate her fruit without comment, enjoying watching her parents' volleys. Seeing them joke with each other so smoothly felt right to her. Something in her heart felt mended when they were happy. Michael turned to Olivia, still smiling. By the way, Olivia, what time will you be back if you go out later? Not too late, Olivia replied, thinking. I have a meeting and don't know exactly when it will end, but it shouldn't be too bad. Victoria frowned. What meeting do you have that's so late? Is this a park meeting? Olivia realized that she had said more than she intended to. She did not want to tell her mom that she was attending a meeting for the new crime syndicate she founded recently. Oh, don't worry about it, Mom, she replied with a wave of her hand. Olivia quickly changed the subject. Weren't you going to tell us more about what happened to you at work? I know you said it was a twisted ankle, but the doctor was very clear that a twisted ankle shouldn't cause this kind of bone fracture. We just want to make sure you're okay. Michael nodded and frowned, also interested. Yeah, you're still doing accounting for us, right? We haven't transferred you to the mountain climbing department. All I heard was you sprained your ankle and went to the hospital, then saw you at home in a full cast. Victoria avoided making eye contact with either of them. She began. but didn't seem to know what to say. "Mom." Olivia's concerned gaze softened. She did not want to force Victoria to say anything, but her refusal to tell them made her concerned about what the truth might be. Olivia had a lot of enemies and knew that she was making more by the minute. She had put in so much effort to take care of her mom and her life that she hated the feeling that she couldn't prevent her from getting broken bones on her watch. What would happen to her next time? So what if she had achieved everything she'd set her mind to by this point in her life? If she couldn't even take care of her own family, everything else felt insignificant. Victoria's shoulders dropped. "Actually, it's nothing. Please don't worry. It was just a small dispute with a colleague. She didn't do it on purpose." "A dispute?" Michael looked alarmed. "Who was it with?" Victoria sighed, annoyed with herself. "If I have an issue with someone at work, I don't feel good about going home and complaining to the CEO about it. It's not fair that I know their bosses' bosses. "That's not what I meant," Michael appealed to her. "But whoever this was really hurt you." "I'm fine," Victoria interrupted sternly. "I can handle this by myself." Olivia tilted her head. "Handle it? What do you mean you're going to handle it?" "I'm figuring that out," Victoria replied indignantly. "But whatever I do, I can do it myself. Besides, you both are so busy with so many more important issues. The last thing I need to do is add another bit of nonsense to either of your plates." Olivia and Michael both felt terrible seeing Victoria feel this way. They wanted to respect her wishes and let her deal with a work dispute independently. But they were also worried to hear that she thought that they couldn't afford the brain space needed to be concerned about her. They were both busy and had many different things to worry about. But they loved Victoria so much. Both of them considered it a privilege to be able to worry about her and work together as a family. They each circled back to trying to respect her wishes and trusted her to ask for help when she needed it. Now all they could do was helplessly look at each other. Victoria laughed and shook her head. "I think this is all really blown out of proportion anyway. You don't have to worry about me. It was just a misunderstanding, really." Michael thought of something and replied patiently. "Then would you mind telling us about this so-called misunderstanding?" Victoria raised her eyebrows, thinking about it. She thought for a beat and nodded. "You know what? Yes, I can do that. It was about Nate Evans. Lisa is interested in him, and I work really closely with him, so she misunderstood." Victoria cracked a smile then. "Actually, looking back, I think it's kind of funny, don't you?" Michael and Olivia absorbed this, but Olivia narrowed her eyes. "So she misunderstood to the point that your bones are now fractured?" Michael's eye twitched at the mention of Nate Evans. He wasn't exactly happy to hear that Victoria's work dispute was about the possibility that she was interested romantically in someone else, let alone a man he had already had his doubts about. Michael's mind began to race backward through every interaction he had ever witnessed between Victoria and Nate. He also started to sweat, remembering that Nate had really great hair and looked in his suits as though he probably worked out. "Don't you two think it's funny?" Victoria asked with a laugh, oblivious to Michael's inner turmoil. She seemed to find it funnier the more she thought about it. "I'm so much older than Nate Evans." She gestured at Olivia. "I have a daughter who's way closer to his age than I am. But Lisa had this idea in her head and just would not leave me alone about it. The more I talk about it, the crazier this all seems. She's such a strange lady." Olivia narrowed her eyes suspiciously. It was suddenly making more and more sense that Lisa would be so concerned. The way Victoria laughed now, the excuses she threw out. Could it be that there was actually some kind of romantic tension between Victoria and Nate? Olivia had never noticed before, but now that she thought about it, there was something in the way her mom looked whenever she described Nate. Michael and Olivia exchanged a look. They were clearly both thinking the same thing. Olivia wanted to ask a question but spoke tentatively. It felt like she was lighting a stick of dynamite between her parents and then just running away. Mom, do you think that maybe you do like Nate Evans? Even just a little bit? Victoria was stunned. She blinked, confused. What in the world are you talking about? Why on earth would you say that? She quickly glanced at Michael, wondering if he had the same suspicion. She also thought about how moving so slowly with Michael was maybe giving too much room for his and Olivia's imaginations to run wild. She wanted to take her time and be careful, but that didn't mean she wasn't interested in Michael. But the clearest, most irrefutable hurdle to Victoria about Nate was that he was so much younger. She knew some people seemed fine with such large age gaps, but she would have felt very silly with a man so much younger than her. She already found it difficult to socialize with people in their 20s. It always made her feel ancient. Olivia did seem mostly convinced by Victoria's reaction. She thought that Victoria seemed so stunned in response to the question that Olivia did not think she sounded like she was trying to hide anything. Really, Mom, I was just asking. I didn't mean anything else. I thought maybe you did have some sort of feelings, but if you say you don't, then I believe you. Michael stared down at the comforter on the bed, playing with the stitching in the fabric. But she technically didn't answer the question. You didn't say whether you have feelings or not. He tried to seem casual, but wasn't fooling Victoria or Olivia. We just want to know because we're curious, and I actually didn't hear you answer whether you do or not. Victoria eyed him suspiciously. What, Michael? Why do you care if I have a crush on someone? They had both been playing it so coy recently that she did want to hear this said explicitly out loud. Michael put a hand on his chest, trying to act very surprised at the accusation. I don't care in particular. It was Olivia who asked you, and I think Olivia wants to know. So you could answer Olivia's question if you feel like it. Victoria laughed and rolled her eyes. Oh, Michael. Part of her enjoyed seeing this immature behavior in him because it reminded her of moments he had felt jealous when they were much younger and first dating. Victoria turned back to Olivia and decided she wouldn't dignify this with a response after all. Nate's abilities at work are really impressive to me, and I think he's kind and enthusiastic. He treats everyone at work very well. I just admire him as a colleague. Oh, I get it, Olivia nodded. So you don't see him that way at all. Victoria shrugged. I mean, I certainly understand how somebody would. Hey now, Michael interjected with a frown. I thought you didn't like him. Victoria laughed. I meant what I said. You're being so stubborn. The age difference is just too much of a thing. If I were a decade younger, maybe. Ouch, Michael protested, wounded. Victoria enjoyed teasing him. You're acting jealous of a hypothetical situation. In this universe, right here, I am not interested. Michael shook his head. All the comic book movies now are about parallel universes. You never know where you'll end up, just saying. Victoria laughed, beginning to blush. I don't know why you think you should be worrying about that anyway. You just seem, I don't know, restless, Michael replied. Restless? Victoria asked, baffled. Michael was being very confusing. Olivia thought that maybe something was going on between her parents that was turning her into a bit of a third wheel. Hey, it seems like you guys have stuff to talk about. Her parents both rolled her eyes as she moved, not so subtly, toward the door. I think I'm going to excuse myself. Have a good night, you two. Olivia left her parents to continue teasing each other and discussing their feelings. She found Morgana sprawled across the couch and got her up so they could leave for their meeting. When they heard the door close, Michael frowned. He was as surprised as Victoria had been that he felt threatened and jealous by her possible feelings for another man. Victoria played with the edge of her sheets. I just think you have a lot of nerve to be angry, she said calmly. Of course I feel angry. Michael retorted. Have you forgotten what our relationship is? Victoria threw up her hands. What our relationship is or is not has nothing to do with this, okay? Olivia just asked me, otherwise I would have not brought it up. Michael crossed his arms. But when Olivia asked you, you never just directly, easily said that you don't like him. You said that you could see why somebody would like him, and that you would like him if you were younger. Victoria sighed, looking up at the ceiling. Don't you feel weird saying all this at your age? Are you a teenager? Nate Evans is at least a decade younger than me. I couldn't handle that, and I said that. So it's impossible, and I don't know what's wrong with this hypothetical situation for you. It doesn't sound impossible to me. Michael shook his head. Nate Evans is thinking about you at least as much as you're thinking about him. How can I pretend not to care? Victoria looked at Michael at a loss. What the hell are you talking about? You know, I don't think either of us are in a place where we can speak openly. I think you should go for now. I don't want to. Michael refused. Michael, this isn't going anywhere. Let's take a break. Victoria insisted. I don't think we're taking a break from this discussion. I feel like you're just shutting me out. Michael crossed his arms over his chest. Victoria threw the comforter and sheets off her legs. If you don't leave, then I will. She leaned forward, about to stand up from the bed. Where are you going? You can't just cut off an argument because you're done. Michael protested. You're not supposed to walk on that leg. Victoria winced, getting up with some effort and holding her face close to Michael's. Then you'd better leave or I'm going to do just that. They both breathed heavily, stubbornly, glaring at each other. A moment passed. Victoria spoke. I think that you're acting really strangely about this, and there's something you want to say that you're not saying. Michael replied. I think that between Lisa getting so angry with you that it turned into a fight where you came home in a cast, and your weird reaction when we asked you about it, that you do have feelings for that guy. That guy? Victoria laughed. Do you mean Nate? Michael winced. She blinked as she watched him flabbergasted. Michael, what are you doing? What is this? Michael sighed, feeling impatient with himself and embarrassed. I am realizing today that it really bothered me to think about you having feelings for Nate, even hypothetically in some other universe. Victoria blinked and sat down on the bed. Michael sat next to her. A minute went by while she decided what to say. Michael, listen to me. Nate Evans and I really, truly have nothing to do with each other outside of work, and we will never be involved. He is a young man who should be with another young person. He's like a little boy. I'm a woman. I'm a full-grown woman, and I want to be with someone my own. Before Victoria could finish her sentence, she was interrupted when suddenly, Michael kissed her. Michael lingered for a moment, trying to make this kiss last as long as humanly possible without seeming odd. As if realizing what he was doing, he pulled back abruptly. His lips reluctantly left hers. Victoria looked deeply into his eyes. You know, Michael, I mean that I don't want to date a young man. But if you were a young man who might have asked to kiss me since the kids are all about consent these days. Michael covered his eyes and burst into laughter. I'm so sorry. He kept his hands over his eyes ashamed, and she burst out laughing too. Did you not want that kiss? He asked. She laughed. No, I mean, I liked it. I'm just teasing you. I mean, I do think it's a good form to ask first. It's not hard. Both of their laughter died down. They smiled at each other. He cleared his throat. I want to kiss you, Victoria. Can I kiss you? She nodded as she leaned in again more slowly this time. Her chest filled with a happy warmth. They both had waited so long for this moment. He touched his fingertips to her cheek, realizing how much he had missed her. at the same time feeling so happy to have the chance to kiss her again. He whispered, "If you dare to mention his name again, I can't promise you I won't shower you with devotion. You've been warned." Victoria laughed and threw her arms around him. On the street below their apartment building, Olivia walked out with Morgana. Violet was waiting right outside with the car, and the girls eagerly got inside. Olivia greeted Violet. "Let's head there directly," she told her. Violet nodded. "You got it." She handed Olivia a takeout box without looking. "Miss, since you didn't eat dinner, I picked this up for you." "Thank you." Olivia accepted it gratefully. She opened it and her eyes widened. "Sushi!" she cried. "How did you know? I've been craving sushi all week." Violet smiled as she began to drive, satisfied with herself. "And I got enough for you too," she added with a nod to Morgana. "Oh, thank God," Morgana replied, "because I was dying to eat something even before I knew what it was. And I've been trying to not eat your food anymore." Olivia laughed. "Well, I respect the effort." Olivia handed one of the smaller containers to Morgana, and they both easily split a couple of rolls, some pot stickers, and edamame. This place is amazing," Morgana shouted so loud that Olivia winced. "It is very good," Olivia nodded to Violet. Morgana helped herself to pieces from Olivia's container as well. "Oh, wow. Okay, every bit of it is good. Olivia, we have to bring Millie, Lena, and everybody else to this restaurant so we can all eat together. They have to try this." Olivia laughed again. She wished she loved anything as much as Morgana loved food. "That sounds good," she replied to Morgana. Violet cleared her throat, making eye contact with Olivia in the rearview mirror. "Miss, I was looking at your schedule and noticed you have some big exams coming up at school. Would you like me to reserve a spa treatment for you to relax beforehand?" Olivia smiled. "I appreciate that, but no thank you. I asked my friends to go shopping with me this weekend to do some retail therapy." "Copy that." Violet gave a nod. Olivia sighed. "After we deal with this last bit of business for tonight, my focus will be on school for a while." Violet frowned. "But the Rose Company." In the split second, since she heard what Olivia had said, she was already concerned with what it would look like for her and Jeff Dreyer to handle Mark DeLillo themselves. Mark was a hungry wolf that could jump up and bite at any time. Not only that, but since he was so dim-witted, he was that much more erratic and hard to predict. Olivia looked thoughtfully out at the New York night coasting by. "Don't worry about him. He's had a lot of losses recently, so I think he'll be a bit more careful before he starts making moves again." "That makes sense," Violet agreed. Olivia chewed and thought about her upcoming plans. "I'll still be in the office on weekends, but if there's any reason you need me before then, you can always call me or send things to my home and I can take a look at night. But Jeff also should be able to step in and take care of things for a little while at least." Violet nodded. This had to be good enough for her to get through Olivia's upcoming exams. Olivia took another bite of her favorite roll, salmon avocado. She wasn't even sure how Violet knew that it was her favorite and was constantly amazed by how good Violet was at her job. She tried to hold on to being present during that one beautiful, uncomplicated moment where she was just enjoying a bite of excellent sushi. Morgana had already inhaled more than half of the items in the takeout box and leaned back in her seat with a hand on her stomach. It would be so good if we had a restaurant like this right outside our school. Or in the school. That would be amazing. Why don't we? Olivia nodded. Good point. Let's look into it. She chewed and added absent-mindedly. It's so annoying that this great place across the street from the school closed down because they demolished that building. What? Morgana sat up, startled by that information. When did that happen? How could I not know? Olivia froze. She realized that the restaurant across the street from Marshall had closed because of demolition. But that had happened in her past life. In this life, it had not occurred yet. The restaurant would suddenly move immediately after their upcoming exams. Olivia hoped Morgana would think nothing of her mentioning this week before the event took place. "I think I read that it's going to happen in the news a few days ago," she shrugged, trying to sound casual. "You know, I said it wrong. I meant they're going to demolish it. They haven't yet." Morgana pulled her cheeks down with her fingers. "Oh, that's the worst. I love that place." Olivia smiled at Morgana, feeling like her pivot was successful. Morgana continued, "Olivia, why don't you just buy the building across from Marshall School? Then you could pick the restaurant that goes in that spot. You should make this sushi place move there." Olivia rolled her eyes. "Even if I started on that tomorrow, I think it would take way too long to get it all done and ready for customers. It would easily be up and running after we graduate." Morgana pouted. "This dinner started out so incredible and has taken such a dark turn. Why do they want to demolish that building?" Olivia tried to remember. I think something with city planning? I didn't really understand it." Morgana's eyes were wide. "Wow, and you understand pretty much everything. It must be really complicated. But I think the most important thing to remember is that my lunchtime options from now on have been decimated. How long will we have to wait for a new building?" Olivia shrugged. "Maybe Violet knows. She's been keeping up with our real estate holdings lately." Violet nodded. "As a matter of fact, I know exactly what you're talking about. It will go up pretty fast, but it will be empty for a few months." Morgana sighed. "Then I will call upon my reserves of mental strength and endure this." Olivia laughed suddenly, realizing she had a slight pain in her jaw. Morgana noticed Olivia rub her jaw muscle lightly. "Oh, I've been meaning to say you've been grinding your teeth at night." "Oh no, really?" Olivia replied. "Yeah, it's been really rough for me." Morgana mused unironically. Olivia rolled her eyes. "I think it's also why I've been tired and sore." "Yeah, but you get to sleep through it," Morgana protested. Olivia raised her eyebrows. "You're right, I guess I can't argue with that. You know, if it's so tough for you, you could always go sleep over at Lena and Millie's." "No," Morgana said quickly, shutting down the idea. "Lena snores like a jackhammer. Her sinuses must hurt even more than your teeth." Morgana thought about how she hadn't had very many roommates. When she was apprenticing under the Venom King, she had a big bed in a perfect room. Her brother would also disappear for about 300 days out of every year, so she was by herself a lot of the time. Morgana narrowed her eyes. She hadn't thought about him in a long time. She tried to remember when was the last time that she saw him, and she could not. Olivia noticed the odd expression on Morgana's face. "What are you thinking about?" Morgana sighed. "I'm thinking about my brother." "Oh, Brent?" Olivia asked. She had met Brent several times and admired his devotion to being a doctor. "We could possibly call him and invite him for a visit if you like." Morgana shook her head. "No, not Brent. I'm thinking about my other brother. He was a bit different." Olivia was surprised. Why hadn't she heard about this brother before? And who was he? Olivia didn't know what to say for a moment. She stared at Morgana as she took in the news. Morgana has another sibling. Olivia was shocked that Morgana had a brother she'd never told her about. But with Morgana's mysterious Venom witch past and all its secrets, Olivia thought that she probably shouldn't be surprised. Olivia did think this was interesting, however, that this was the first time it was coming up. "You have another brother? What is he doing? Is he a doctor like Brent?" Morgana shrugged. "I don't think so, but I don't know. I don't even know where he is." Olivia raised her eyebrows. "Oh, really? Do you ever talk to him at all?" "I rarely ever see or talk to him, which I think is the way he likes it," Morgana explained. "When we were living together with our master, my brother would occasionally show up to sleep and recharge and then leave again. He is sort of like a robot. He basically doesn't have any feelings." Olivia nodded. I see. She thought privately to herself that it actually made sense for Morgana's brother to be a strange, mysterious person, since she herself was a strange, mysterious person. Morgana looked out the window of the car as Violet drove, thinking to herself, Brent said our other brother is a physicist who studies wormholes and can even make them. But our Venom Master said that he's just a butcher in a meatpacking plant. Olivia was at a loss. Those are very different jobs. Morgana nodded, still gazing out into the night. Yeah, they really are. I don't know what he could possibly be up to where both of those pieces of information make sense. And he's never told me any detail at all about what he's up to himself. Olivia looked at Morgana's expressionless face with empathy. Are you okay? Is this painful to talk about? What? Morgana turned to her. Oh, sorry. I was just thinking about how we'd have so much free bacon if he really worked at a meatpacking plant. Olivia laughed. She supposed that it was for the best that Morgana seemed unbothered. Olivia's phone vibrated with a call from Chris. She picked up. Hey, Chris, what's going on? It's pretty late. Is this a booty call? Chris laughed. No, it's not. Do I have to schedule a time to call my fiancé just to say hi? Olivia handed the rest of the uneaten takeout to Morgana, indicating that she could eat it all. No, it's just unusually late for you. What's up? Morgana was thrilled with the food and dug in with a smile. She really felt like this was the best sushi she had ever had. Olivia cleaned up her hands with a napkin and idly gathered up the takeout trash, cradling the phone between her shoulder and her ear. So, why did Chris Jones call me tonight? Does he need a bedtime story to help get to sleep? Chris laughed. That wasn't what I wanted, but now that you mention it, it might help me if you tuck me in. Olivia couldn't help but blush at the thought of what Chris was implying. Chris cleared his throat on the other end. Actually, I need to ask you something. Olivia turned to look out the window. What is that? Chris took a deep breath. The Nether Group is yours, isn't it? Olivia was stunned for a moment. That was indeed the name of the new crime syndicate she had just founded that was full of the world's top assassins. She smiled. Is it that easy to guess? Chris smiled, lighthearted, despite the dangerous nature of the conversation. I don't know that other people would guess it, but I thought it sounded like you. Vaguely mysterious in a romantic sort of way. But what happened to Vengeance Vanguard? I thought that was a good name too. Olivia raised her eyebrows in surprise. Vengeance Vanguard had been the original name she wanted for the group, but Violet had talked her out of it. Since Francis was the one who suggested it, Violet thought it would be too easy for one of Olivia's friends to connect the group back to her. How did you know about that? Olivia had never mentioned any of this to Chris. Oh, I have my ways. Olivia could practically hear Chris smirking through the phone. Olivia laughed, feeling exposed and a little vulnerable. But she liked that Chris knew her so well. Wow, it's almost like you're obsessed with me. Maybe I am. So what? He joked, and Olivia smiled to herself. Chris let out a sigh then, taking on a more serious tone as he continued. I'm not trying to do anything else with this call, but I just want to tell you something. Olivia realized she was holding her breath. What do you want to tell me? He paused for a moment. Don't overdo it. Olivia frowned. What do you mean, don't overdo it? I don't understand. Chris's tone grew dark. Nether Group's current benefits are far better than the other syndicates, which makes sense because you're new and want to draw top talent. I think everyone gets that, and you'll be fine if it's just for a short period of time. But if it's the way you do things long term, it might make you some enemies with the other assassin organizations. Chris swallowed. As you can imagine, they're not the best enemies to have. So they're noticing you now, but you don't want to go so far that they feel you need to be eliminated. Olivia nodded. She had thought about this possibility, of course, but it felt more ominous to hear it coming from Chris. I understand. Thank you for the warning. Chris's throat was dry. He was nervous for her. If you're just making a name for yourself, you can do that. But if you want to really last, you have to figure out how to exist in this ecosystem. It's a really tough balance. She took this in. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. Why are you thanking me? Chris was genuinely surprised. She laughed. Because this was nice of you to do. Chris smirked. If you really feel like thanking me, why don't you give me something more practical? Practical? Olivia raised her eyebrows. What are you thinking? Is this something my delicate ears aren't supposed to hear? He laughed. I was just thinking about how my fiancé is starting to make decisions about which college she wants to attend. I am hoping that she will choose to go to NYU with me when she graduates. Olivia was caught off guard by this proposition. It was also rare that he asked her for things. Chris sighed, his words filling with genuine sadness. I miss being in the same school as you. We're both so busy. It was nice when our lives intersected a little bit. Olivia realized that hearing Chris say this felt very good. She felt like they were a team and her presence mattered to him. She felt cared for. We'll see, she replied evasively with a smile. I did apply to NYU. If I get in, I could maybe give it at least a year. Chris frowned. A year? He'd never heard of someone planning to spend 1 year somewhere that wasn't a junior college. That's right, 1 year is enough for me to spend in New York after I graduate. Olivia thought silently to herself that 1 year was enough time for her to finally take revenge for her betrayal in her previous life. She remembered how, if it weren't for that person, she probably would not have fallen so deeply into Mark DeLillo's trap and ended up dead under his car on an abandoned road. 1 year is enough? Chris repeated, but he did vaguely understand what she meant. He smirked slightly. It sounds like I'm not a good enough reason for you to stay. Olivia laughed. Don't worry about the reason. You'll get to enjoy being in school with me for a year. What are you going to do after a year? Chris asked. Olivia decided to keep him in suspense for the time being. Oh, that information is highly confidential. Chris rolled his eyes and laughed lightly. So naughty. Olivia's mouth fell open. She was smiling, but she wasn't sure why she liked it so much to hear him call her naughty. She blushed and looked out the window, where she could see their destination coming closer and closer. I think that's enough bedtime story for now, she chided him. Let's talk again tomorrow. Chris did not want Olivia to hang up, but he had had a busy night ahead of him as well. All right. He was about to say goodbye when he remembered something. You know, it's almost our anniversary. Olivia did not respond, and Chris realized that she had already hung up on him. His ears burned. He felt embarrassed that he had said that aloud to no one. What's wrong? Sven turned to Chris with a forkful of food hovering in front of his mouth. Did she hang up on you? Chris snorted and tossed his phone aside, refusing to answer. He looked at his own computer. Sven, just get to work. But Sven was uninterested in moving on. Chrissy, you really got hung up on. How dare she? He teased. Chris rubbed his eyes. Sven, do you not have enough work to do? I can give you some of mine if you want. Sven immediately begged for mercy. Fine, I'll shut up. He turned around. He twirled another bite of his instant noodles from their styrofoam cup. Violet's car pulled up to an enormous villa by the seaside, built in the earliest days of industrial New York. Olivia, Violet, and Morgana strode into the dark villa. It appeared abandoned. They arrived at the meeting room inside, hearing a ruckus conversation echoing through the door. Olivia pushed it open. The group inside immediately quieted at the sight of her. She walked confidently over to an empty seat on a slightly elevated dais from the rest of the group. Everyone stood up, and the most senior person inside gave her a nod. Boss, welcome. Thank you, she replied and took her seat. Violet and Morgana stood on either side of her chair. They noticed that Olivia seemed like a completely different person from her usual thoughtful, gentle self. Here, in front of a room of thugs and mastermind criminals, Olivia took on a cold, forceful air. She gazed over the crowd with a withering stare, then let one corner of her mouth turn up in a sort of smirk. "Sit," Olivia gestured to the room, and they complied. As she looked over the group of career criminals she had so carefully assembled, Olivia felt the power of her position as the head of the Nether Group, and she wielded that power like a dagger. She heard from her organizational lieutenants, the buttoned-up white-collar, seeming people who took orders and kept their books the way they needed in order to evade suspicion and prosecution. They told Olivia that the work they were currently receiving was mainly simple, low-level missions since they were a new group. Higher-level assassinations would not come their way until they built some credibility. She was not shocked to hear this. It made sense. Olivia nodded. "Thank you for these reports. I have 2 announcements. The first is that from next month onward, the Nether Group will increase its prices by 20%. Most people in the room frowned and unhappy muttering broke out among the attendees. One of her lieutenants cleared her throat and spoke. "Boss, I'm not sure if that's wise to do." Olivia's words were friendly, but her tone was sharp. "Thank you for your counsel. There is nothing wrong with this raise. Right now, the benefits of our group are the best among our competition. Others are waiting and judging our strength and will not attack us for the time being. But if their unhappiness with us continues, it could lead to unnecessary trouble." A woman who wore her hair in a Viking shield maiden-style braids spoke up then. "But what if we raise the price of each order? It could stop our growth in its tracks while we're still trying to build. We're such a new group." Olivia smiled. "It's precisely because we're a new group that we can raise the price. I have seen it in other industries. Once other groups see that this higher price is feasible, they will raise their prices as well, and we will not suffer any losses. We may even find ourselves with some new friends." She watched nods ripple through the room, and no one stood to object. It seemed like she had convinced them. Olivia continued, "Also, we need to rely on the ability of everyone here to complete their missions with speed. When our profile rises and our reputation is better, there will naturally be customers who will turn back. The most important thing in this industry is speed and integrity. If we have both of those, we don't have to worry too much about our fees. We will only have people reach out to us who can afford it." A wave of enthusiasm again sounded through the room. They were pleased with Olivia's thinking and her leadership. Olivia cleared her throat, happy with the response. "One last thing. We are still improving our website on the dark web where you can create a profile with your expertise and receive your missions. Once it is finished, it will be much more convenient for everyone. Does anyone have anything else to say about this?" A young man raised his hand. "Yes, miss, the Nether Group's website has already been hacked, but they were only looking in our data and did not do anything substantial." Olivia nodded. "Thank you, I was aware of this. I am working on having the security of the site upgraded in the next couple of days. A successful hack where they only looked around means they would return with a plan if we let them." The young man nodded, satisfied. "Thank you." Olivia looked around the room. "Are there any other problems or business anybody would like to address?" A middle-aged man with a huge nose ring stood. "I have 2 friends who want to join us, but both of them have criminal record. I know we had previously said we weren't accepting anyone who had done time, but trust me, they're worth it." Olivia gave him a nod. "I will think about it." She turned to the rest of the room as he sat. "Is there anything else?" Nobody else spoke up as everyone in the room looked at one another, seemingly satisfied. "No more, right?" Olivia looked left and right, giving them another beat to speak up. She took a deep breath. "The Nether Group is a new group, but all of you are experienced in this industry. We have assembled an incredible pool of talent here, and there isn't anything that this group altogether can't handle. If you have any questions in the near future, you can contact Violet Cartwright. She gestured to Violet, who stared down the attendees with authority. Her cold power was just as fierce as Olivia's. Olivia stood up from her seat. All right, let's end things here. Meeting adjourned. The attendees all stood up, some chatting with each other and some hurrying out immediately. Olivia headed for the door as Violet and Morgana followed her. Wait a minute, a lazy male voice drawled. Olivia stopped in her tracks and turned to face the man. He was bald and had a scar across his left eyebrow. He looked very physically strong and tall, but Olivia did not react to his imposing presence. She narrowed her eyes. Is something the matter? He raised his chin, challenging her. I'm known here as Kane. The Nether Group is a new group. We're all veterans. What about you? He looked up and down at her. Why should we listen to you? Because I am the boss of the Nether Group, Olivia replied simply. He laughed and put his hands in his pockets, taking a step toward her. Violet tensed. Little girl, don't tell me the rules of the road like I don't know them. In this industry, whoever has the most strength and skill will be the boss. The corner of Olivia's mouth raised in a smirk. So once you finally get to your point, I assume you intend to say that you have more strength and skill than I do? He laughed a low, ominous laugh that sounded more like a threat. Isn't this precious? You certainly would be the first little girl I've gone up against. Have you played with guns before, sweetheart? Do you know how to use them? Olivia narrowed her eyes at Kane. He took slow, deliberate steps toward Olivia and removed a pistol from a holster under his jacket. Okay, little. He was interrupted by Violet Cartwright, who made a split-second strike with her hand against his wrist. He was caught by surprise and his gun flew aside into the air. Before the pistol even hit the ground, Violet leaned back and lifted her leg to kick him in the gut, sending him flying. The pistol clattered to the ground as she advanced, kicking him again a second time, then a third, until finally he smacked into the wall behind him. Olivia lifted her skirt and pulled a silver pistol from a thigh holster. She took aim. Kane was attempting to stay on his feet after the force of Violet's kicks when Olivia's bullet shot through his left ear. Before he could react, a second bullet cracked into the wall just beside his right ear. He looked at Olivia, his eyes wide, and she fired a third bullet. It smoked a hole through the crotch of his dress pants, sinking into the wall behind him. Luckily for him, it tore only through the fabric and not through flesh. He had a practiced mask of indifference on his face after a long life in the underworld. Even as Olivia's pistol smoked and blood trickled down his left ear and past his neck. Olivia stared back at him just as coldly. These 3 bullets are a lesson for you. Next time, I won't miss. He swallowed his saliva, but otherwise did not respond. She turned to the silent onlookers and addressed everyone simultaneously as Kane. The Nether Group opened its doors to do business. In this place, I am the ruler. If you feel that you are stronger than me, you can start your own business. The Nether Group will not miss a troublemaker like you. She turned and left the meeting room. Morgana looked around at everyone, pleased by their stunned silence, and chased after her. Violet gave one last look at Kane, who watched her back. She smoothed her clothes. If she did not think it would cause Olivia trouble, she would have killed this man already. Violet turned and walked out of the silent room after Olivia and Morgana. The talk of witnesses of the night's events felt that Olivia's technique and level of brutality were fine, even though nobody previously thought she had it in her. What really scared them was Violet's attack. It was nearly instantaneous and took out a much larger, stronger-looking man with no weapons at all. Violet's ability and ferocity, coupled with her loyalty to Olivia, made everyone respect Olivia more. They did not think that a woman like her would stick by Olivia just for money. Some of the wiser onlookers also pointed out that Morgana had not even done anything. They didn't know what she would have done if it were necessary. They had more hope for the Nether Group. Perhaps they had made the right decision to work with Olivia. As for Kane, the expression on his face was murderous. After being in this industry for so many years, he was bested by some young woman and a little rich girl with a gun. Little girl, he thought viciously. Do you really think you'll be spared just because you have a bit of money? He pictured making Olivia pay and smiled. Just wait and see.